If you have any Gen Xers in your life, say the words Blue Lagoon to them and watch their eyes go all dreamy.
My heart's beating so fast.
Mine too.
The 1980 coming-of-age movie features two teenage cousins trapped on a desert island who begin to explore their sexuality. But star Brooke Shields was only 14 when she filmed sex scenes and nudity and has now reunited with co-star Christopher Atkins to discuss the experience.
Those things and what we experienced on that movie, he's right. Never again will a movie be made like that. Ever.
This is far from an isolated incident. From Natalie Portman in The Professional and as far back as Shirley Temple in the 30s, Hollywood has a very uncomfortable track record of sexualising children.
Ain't that right, baby? Absolutely no copy time.
Former child stars have been speaking out over the traumatic experiences they once endured.
I went cold with fear, shaking. I sobbed in my father's arms in between takes and pleaded with him to intervene. I'm afraid they have to do it again, love. I'm sorry. There's nothing I can do.
I don't think we're going to be seeing children exposed to explosive materials or large sets where there's a lot of danger. Filmmakers need to be so much more cognizant of on-set behaviours. Everything now is so heavily monitored.
Many classic horror films were notoriously lax on safety standards, with 12-year-old Exorcist star Linda Blair suffering a lifelong spinal fracture in her role as the possessed Reagan. Hollywood's growing consciousness around behind-the-scenes safety seems to have had a flow-on effect to on-screen depiction. While art house and foreign cinema will freely explore more dangerous and serious concepts, gone are the days where mainstream films will feature kids swearing and drinking.
Well, what do you expect? All we got on this team is a bunch of and a booger-eating moron.
Or casually committing acts of extreme violence.
There's a whole raft of films which would have a lot of trouble being produced today, and if they were produced, might meet some sort of outcry.
This is it.
So is cinema finally taking responsibility for its treatment of children on screen and off? Or are they just shielding kids from the realities of life?
I'm gonna have a couple of harems and maybe 3 or 4 wives.
Well, Wenley Ma is a film and television critic and joins us now. Wenley, the evidence of this is clear. It's right there on the screen. Why has it taken Brooke Shields talking about it for everyone to sort of sit up and take notice?
I think that's the case with almost anything that once a famous person starts talking about their own experiences, we realise, yeah, this is very much a real problem that happened because you've got a face to it, you've got a name to it, she's a familiar personality. And also, everyone knows and has probably seen Blue Lagoon, and now they can put 2 and 2 together and go, wow, she was 14 at the time, that probably was not right.
Well, hindsight is always such a great thing, Wenley, but do you think that Hollywood is actually getting better at how it treats child actors?
We'd like to think it is, and I think if you take in the wider context of the fact that, you know, there is more accountability and transparency in the industry in general, especially after everything that happened with Me Too, that child actors are probably getting treated better than they were before. I mean, but of course, the reality is that anytime these things do happen, it takes a while for it to come out. Like Sarah Polley, who is a Canadian filmmaker, she's shared her experiences in the past about working as a child actor with Terry Gilliam on The Adventures of Baron Munchausen and just how traumatised some of her experiences were. That took so many years to come out. And so it may very well be the fact that there are these incidents still happening on set in Hollywood and we just may know about them for a while. I guess the other side of it is that, you know, social media is a powerful force and child actors, tween actors, teen actors, they are all pretty active on social media. They have platforms to share things the way they couldn't before, and possibly, hopefully, directors, producers will see that as maybe a threat as well to do right by the people who work for them, because if nothing else, they can get caught out on Twitter and nobody wants that.
But knowing all this about these old movies, does it change how they will be viewed today? I mean, a lot of them were made before I was born, so I've never seen them, and now I'm not very interested in seeing them either.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, there are movies that have been made by filmmakers who have, problematic reputations now that mean something to me at a different time. And absolutely, when I watch Annie Hall these days, I go, oh God, there's something a little bit uncomfortable about this. But you do have to take in the context of the time that they were made. It's just, I mean, it is up to every single person how comfortable they are with seeing things like this. But at the same time, I would say a lot of the people who worked on those films, ones who've had these not great experiences working on these films or television shows, probably also wouldn't want you to completely disregard them because it's their work as well.
We've obviously been talking about the Blue Lagoon, but are there particular films or series that you think of when you're talking about this that you're like, not going back there?
Look, my favourite show growing up was Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and the creator Joss Whedon has obviously become a very problematic figure. And even though I say the show will still always mean something to me at a certain time in my life, the truth is I haven't watched it since.
Wenley Ma, revelation. Thank you. Have a good Christmas.
Thank you.
Watching those clips, I mean, it's so at odds with the world we live in now, but it must be a hard kind of line to toe there because we still want to represent the lives of teens and young people, which can involve sexual experiences and illicit drugs and messy adult themes, while also protecting the actors that play them. And some shows have done that really well. So I guess it's just something that they must be grappling with in Hollywood at the moment.
You don't want to erase a legitimate reflection of what people are kind of chasing and experiencing.
Exactly.